Alrighty. Well, it's 3:30 in the morning, and I'm awake again, which is fun. But it happens quite often. It seems I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever. I've been awake since around 3, but it's now 3:30. Anyway, I've recently had a situation. I've lost my banking card, and so that's a bit of a problem because I can no longer do over-the-counter banking. I'm probably going to have to call the bank and do things that way to get it might report my card lost and get another card sent to me. I can't do it over the internet, it turns out. So anyway, I can't do over-the-counter banking anymore. And the reason for that is the bank will not process any of my transactions, or anybody's transactions for that matter. It isn't just me they're doing this to, unless we show them our driver's license. When you go into the bank, you have to show them your driver's license, or they won't deal with you. Now, I have an issue with that because of the upcoming digital identity, which will be tied to digital currency and which will also be tied to the social credit score, which they're already doing in China. All this stuff is already happening in China. They want to bring it here. And of course, that's all a precursor to the mark of the beast. And I committed, when I saw what was happening a few years ago, I committed to not participating. Anything that's even a precursor to the mark of the beast, I will not participate in. If it smells like the mark of the beast, I'm not participating. That's what it boils down to, even a precursor to it. Because if we participate in something, then we vote for it. So if you participate in a precursor to the mark of the beast, then you're voting ultimately for the mark of the beast. You're expressing a desire or an interest, or at the very least a willingness to accept the mark of the beast. And for that reason, I don't participate in these things. Last time I was at the bank, I handed them my banking card, which they issue. So they recognize that as ID for a customer because they issue it to us. And then I'm told I need to see your ID. And I pointed at the card. I said, that's it right there. And the woman, the teller, she says, no, I need to see your driver's license. And I said, no. No, I said, you don't. You don't need to see my driver's license. And she says to me, she says, your non-cooperation has been noted by the bank, and it will no longer be tolerated. I will do you a favor and put your transaction through this time, but this is the last time that you get away with not cooperating and having your transaction put through. That was the worst thing she could say to me because that confirmed what I already think. It's not a good way to talk to me. It really isn't. And it was all I could do to keep my cool, really. I mean, I wanted to tell her exactly that she had just said the absolute worst thing she could have said to me. And it was all I could do to keep my cool and not to say, look, I'm a customer. You work for me, ultimately. And, the bank needs customers. The bank has created an artificial need for it. And the only reason now that we need the bank like we do is because we've agreed to need the bank like we do. we've collectively agreed to that without even realizing we agreed to it because it was done in small steps. And see, at one time you could function without having a bank account. Try functioning in this economy now without having a bank account. It's nearly impossible. And see, again, this is a step closer to the biblical idea of you will not buy and sell unless you have the mark. Well, you will not buy and sell unless you have a bank account. You know, see, there's parallels to be drawn here, and they can be drawn very easily if you actually stop and think about it. And it's the population is becoming more and more complacent and more fearful. Oh, don't go against the bank. You don't get the bank mad at you. Well, look, the bank is a business. It's supposed to be here to serve us. The bank should be concerned that its customers don't get mad at it. The customer shouldn't be concerned that the bank don't get mad at him. And the fact that it's just the same what's happened with government. Government is supposed to be here to serve us. Government is supposed to be here to serve the people. And all the various agencies and branches of the government are supposed to be here to serve the people. And more and more I hear, oh, don't get the government mad at you. Don't get the government mad at you, Tom. It's not a good thing to have the government angry with you. You know what? The government is supposed to be working for me. They should be concerned that I'm angry with them. Not that they're angry with me. You know, that I shouldn't have to be worried that the government is angry with me. The government works for me, or it's supposed to at least. So, you know, it should be concerned. Look, I never had a job in my life where my boss was afraid that I might get angry with him. But there were times I was afraid my boss might get angry with me. You see, because that's how it works. Your boss can fire you. If your boss fires you, your paycheck stops. If your paycheck stops, that creates all kinds of complications in your life. Plus, if you get fired from a job, it used to be at least that it made it harder to get another job. It complicated your life in various ways to get fired, and your boss had the power to do that. So your concern as an employee was always that you didn't want your boss to be mad at you. But it was never the concern of the boss that you be mad at him. He didn't care. You'd be mad at him if you want to. Just get to work, do your job. Be mad at me. Oh, fine. Be mad at me. Channel that energy into your work. You know, that's the kind of answer you get. I mean, they didn't care. No, we, the employees, were concerned about them being mad at us, not the other way around. Well, the government is supposed to be our employee. With the bank, we're their customers. They work for us, or at least they're supposed to. So again, I see no reason to be concerned about the government or the bank being mad at me. You know, that's just insanity. And that speech that teller made sounded like something right out of George Orwell's 1984. And that concerned me. The bank has noted your non-compliance. Your non-compliance shall no longer be tolerated. Really? Really? Since when is my driver's license connected to the bank? I mean, that's the Ministry of Transportation. Look, I understand if a cop pulls me over when I'm driving a car, I am legally obligated to show him my driver's license if he asks me for it. That makes sense to me. I understand that. because that's the driver's license is connected to the activity of driving, which I am doing at the time I get stopped by the police. So I get all that. I understand that the police have a right to demand to see your driver's license. I don't give them a hard time over that. If they pull me over and ask to see my driver's license, I show them my driver's license. If I go to the Ministry of Transportation office to conduct a transaction, to renew my driver's license or to renew my license plates or to register a vehicle, again, they have a right to ask to see my driver's license, and I have an obligation to show it to them because I'm doing things related to driving in that situation. Banking is not related to driving. I mean, you can actually not even possess a driver's license and still be a customer at a bank. So I'm not getting the whole thing. You have to show your license. That night, after I had that run-in with the teller, I got an email from my bank telling me that showing my license is for my protection, to protect me against fraud. Well, I didn't ask for that, for one thing. For another thing, it's bullshit, and I'll tell you why it's bullshit. I can bank over the phone or over the internet, and I don't have to show my license. I can bank at the machine at the front of the bank and not go through a teller, and I don't have to show my license or do any of that. So again, I don't have to key my driver's license number into the machine or anything. Those machines and also internet banking and telephone banking are actually far more likely to be where fraudsters will hit than in an over-the-counter transaction. So it doesn't make any sense. Like, their explanation of it doesn't make any sense. And they always do this, these people. Oh, it's for your safety. You have to give up your rights for your safety. Oh, you need to be afraid of fraud. You know what? I've never had my bank account hacked into. I understand people, it has happened. But I've never had it happen. I've never had any fraud committed in that way for the bank. Not that it couldn't happen, but it hasn't happened. The bank and the government and all the rest of them make me far more nervous with the things they're doing than any fraudster. And that's the truth of it. I think that we're more likely to become victims of those people, for the most part, most of us are, than to become victims of a fraudster. Plus, like I said, electronic banking is actually more prone to fraud. And yet we don't have to key in our driver's license number every time we do electronic banking, or every time we use a machine to bank or whatever. So, no, the explanation makes no sense. It is not for my protection. It's to get the people to agree. Because, see, when you do that, when you show them your driver's license, you're agreeing to something. See, every time you do an action, you're agreeing to something. It's the same reason I won't use the self-checkout cash registers. If you use that, you're voting for it. And again, this is all part of a system that they're coming up with now, where you won't be able to buy and sell unless you have the mark of the beast. There are stores in Europe right now that are completely unmanned, and you can only get in there if you have an access card. You have to swipe your card at the door, and that unlocks the door. And then as you go in, they have these grocery carts. They're called smart grocery carts, and there's cameras all over the store. And what happens is every time you put an item in the cart registers it. So you put a bunch of bananas in the cart in the fruit aisle or whatever. the cart registers. Did you put bananas in there? And it registers the weight of them. It automatically feels the weight of it and will weigh it. You put a can of soup in there, the cart registers. Did you put a can of soup in there? And so on. And when you get through your shopping, you go through the self-checkout because there's no cashiers, there's no staff in there. You go through there. It already knows what you've got in your cart and what the value of it is. So it tells you what your total is. You run your card for the machine there to pay through your bank account. And at that point, you can push your cart out. You can push your stuff out of the store. You can unload your cart or whatever, and and leave your cart and take your stuff out of the store that you've bought. Pack up your own groceries, take it out. That model already exists all over the world. And you can't use cash at one of those stores. Those machines don't accept cash. Everything's through a card. Everything's electronic. At the Giant Tiger store in Smiths Falls here, which is a chain we have here in Ontario, Canada, of discount department stores, they've installed a bunch of self-checkouts. There's a sign right as you walk into the self-checkouts that says, no cash accepted. Only credit and debit cards and Giant Tiger gift cards are accepted at the self-checkout. If you want to pay with cash, you go to the cashier. The cashiers are getting fewer and fewer. The self-checkouts are replacing manned cash registers. Now you see, again, if you go to the self-checkout, that's what you're voting for. Now, when they bring in the social credit score, if you behave in a way that they don't like, that the government doesn't like, this is what happens in China. Your money gets devalued or taken away from you. You can lose your apartment. You can lose your job. You can get kicked out of school if you're in school. You're not allowed to ride public transit. You're not allowed to travel. You have to stay in your zone. They have smart cities in China now, too. You can't come or go from your area without swiping your card. That opens the gate, If you swipe your card and it says, no, you're not authorized to leave, then you can't leave. The gate remains locked. This is what they do. This is happening in China already, and they want to bring it here. Our prime minister once said, it's kind of a famous quote by Justin Trudeau, about how he admires the basic dictatorship of China. That's what our prime minister once said. Basically, because they get things done. Well, yeah, you get things done when you're a dictator. When you get just one person or just a very few people, a little committee that decides everything, then yes, you get things done. But it comes at an awful price. And that's not a society it's not a society that you should want to live in. That's the thing. But I've had people say to me, well, why don't you just cooperate? I don't understand why you don't just show the bank your license. I don't understand why you don't just use the self-checkout. I don't understand why you don't just wear a mask, just take the shots like they want you to. I don't understand why you don't cooperate. The reason I don't cooperate is because I have made a personal commitment not to. And I'm not voting for this. It'll happen anyway. I know that. The Bible says it's going to happen. So it isn't about me thinking I'm going to stop it from happening. Oh, I just won't cooperate. Tom Fournier isn't cooperating. I guess we can't introduce the social credit system. Tom Fournier isn't cooperating. I guess we have to continue to have cashiers. Tom Fournier isn't cooperating. I guess we have to drop this policy we've put in place of making people show us their driver's license before they can bank. No, that's not going to happen. I know that. Nobody gives a flying, you know what I think. Nobody in those circles does anyway. And nobody cares if you don't cooperate. Fine, don't cooperate. Don't bank. Don't bank either then. And good luck to you if you're unable to bank. That's all they'll say. Oh, you won't go through the self-checkout? Well, we don't have cashiers anymore, Tom, so I guess you can't buy anything here anymore, eh? Because you won't go through the self-checkout. You're standing in the way. There's other customers behind you who will go through the self-checkout, and you're blocking their way, so please leave our store. That's all they'll do. I know that. But what it is it's a conscience thing. It's a matter of personal conscience for me. And that's the reason that I don't cooperate. I'm seeing way too many things happen right now that are just not good, and that are pointing towards something that isn't good. I've always done that. Like for me, I don't vote at the polls because I don't believe our votes are counted. I think elections are rigged. I don't think it matters who you vote for because I don't think, look, the people who actually run things look at us like we're cattle. The farmer doesn't allow the cows to decide how he runs his farm. So why would these people who look at us as if we're cattle, why would they allow us to run the country or to decide who runs it? They're not going to do that. I mean, realistically, your votes aren't counted. That's why you see some of the bizarre results that you see with elections, where somebody who there's no way in hell this person should win an election, and they do. And that's the reason, because it's all decided. It's all decided ahead of time. But so I don't vote at the polls. But how I do vote is I vote with where I put my time, my energy, and my money. That's how I vote. I vote that way. Like, if you're running a business, and I like your business, I like what you're doing, and I like how you do it, I'll shop in your store. I'll get my car fixed at your garage. I'll shop in your store. I'll buy from your business. I'll hire your people to do whatever work I need to have done. I'll get my teeth fixed at your dental clinic. I'll have my my car serviced at your garage. I'll buy my penny whistles and moon pies at your candy store, or whatever. I'll do that. But the thing is, if I don't like how you operate, you ain't getting any of my money. And the same is true with things as far as where I'll put my time and my energy. If I'm dedicating my time and my energy to you, it's because I like you, I like what you do, and I believe in you. I don't waste my time and my energy because they're both limited things. We only get so many minutes on this earth. I got an alarm clock here ticking, the old-fashioned tick-tock alarm clock. And every tick of that clock brings me closer to the grave. I'm not going to waste one of those ticks on something or someone I don't believe in. I'm just not going to do it. It's too precious. Time is way too precious for that. We have a finite amount of it. Each of us does. And some have more, some have less. None of us really knows how much time we have unless we're on death row or something like that, and our execution is scheduled for next Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Unless you're in a situation like that, you really don't know how much time you have left. And so, but you do know that every second is precious because we only get so many of them. The same with our energy. You know, your energy is finite. You can only go for so long before you have to rest. And so it's best to dedicate your energy to things that you believe in, and to people you believe in, to people you care about, to people you believe in. And, you know, and sometimes you can even care about somebody, but you realize that your energy is wasted on that person. And so sadly, you stop putting your energy out there for that person, you know, because you recognize that it's a bad investment. But that doesn't mean you don't care about them. You know, it's just that you realize that it's not a healthy thing to continue spending your energy on that person. But that's what I do anyway. I vote with my wallet, and I vote with my time and with my energy. And basically, when it comes to the bank, we kind of have to deal with them now. But I find ways around all these policies and whatnot, and I manage to deal with them in roundabout ways. It's going to get tougher to do as time goes on. I know that. And again, you know, the Bible tells us all this is going to happen, and God isn't a liar. So, whatever God says is going to happen is going to happen. And I'm not going to stop it by not cooperating. But, you know, God doesn't ask us to stop it by not cooperating. He doesn't ask us to stop it. He just asked us to have our loyalty is to be with Him first. And if that means not cooperating, then that's what we need to do. And in my case, I sincerely believe that not cooperating is the proper thing, that shows a loyalty to God over the Luciferian system that's in place now. So basically, I'm voting against the Luciferian system by not cooperating. And yeah, that's how I do things anyway. But the video is up now to nearly half an hour, so I'm going to shut it down. Plus, it's nearly 4 a.m. I'm going to try to go back to sleep. Nope, there's Rocky. There he is. Hey, Rocky. Rocky's a little mad at me because I put some that salve on his leg again. And he didn't like it. He came to cuddle with me when I first woke up, and I put some of the Poplar Bud salve on his leg, and he's kind of mad at me now for doing that. But anyway, we'll talk to you in the morning, I guess. Well, it is the morning now, but it's 4 o'clock in the morning, so we'll talk to you when it isn't 4 o'clock in the morning. All right, bye for now.